almost 5 years of freelancing, 30 plus freelance clients of all sizes, and about 400 million lessons learned. Today, I am super excited to be talking about the good, the bad, and the ugly of freelancing. Hey there, it's Daya, freelancer, digital business manager, and entrepreneur here, and I am super excited coming up on my almost 5 year freelancing anniversary to share some of the good, the bad, and the horrifically ugly things that I have encountered during my freelance journey. And as always, there'll be timestamps below because I want you to be able to click around as quickly as you want if there's something specific you're looking for in this video. Yeah, let's start out with the good news, okay? If you're here because you're considering freelancing, I just want to preface this whole video by saying freelancing and choosing to be a freelancer is the #1 best decision. Okay, maybe top 3 best decisions that I've ever made in my entire life. It is not just a choice you make for your career, it is truly, or at least for me, it was a choice that I made for my lifestyle because it changed, I mean, I'll get into the good in a second, but it really changed everything for me. And yeah, no matter the bad, no matter the ugly that I say in this video, I just want to say I don't regret it for 1 second, and I am scared every day thinking back to the possibility that I might have not started as a freelancer. So with that in mind, let's dive into the good things about freelancing. Okay, the first thing is definitely the most self-explanatory thing is the freedom. The freedom is unparalleled, and I didn't really realize how much I cared about freedom until I didn't have it. And when I was going into a 9 to 5, I was doing a 6-month internship on one of the big 4 consulting companies, you know, it wasn't really even a 9 to 5, it was like a 9 to 6, 9 to 7, not including like having to actually go to the work and like waking up early to prepare for work and all this stuff. Like it really took up basically my entire day. So it really absorbed my life away, if that makes sense. And it felt like I was trying to stuff everything else that I was interested in, like hobbies or family or friends, around my work instead of it being the other way around. So when I started freelancing, it was like the heavens opened, like the angels were singing. So much freedom. Like, first of all, no alarm clock. I mean, it's the small things really. And other than that, I love to also stay up as late as I want. I have a lot of like, I don't know, like sometimes I just want to be able to stay up until 3 a.m. reading a book. Sometimes I just want to binge a TV show until 2 in the morning. Like, I don't want to have to go to bed so that I can wake up by an alarm clock that I hate to go to a job that I'm not super fond of. So freelancing kind of just opened that for me. I could kind of adjust my work schedule around the things that I wanted to do. And as long as my work got done and my clients were happy, it was a win-win for everybody, basically. I could also go to the grocery store when I wanted. I love that. Like, I love going grocery shopping when the grocery store is empty. It's just the best. So that one is another perk for sure. And another huge part that's kind of related to freedom is location independence, which is basically travel. I get to travel as much as I want, and my fiance and I, we do a lot of slow traveling where we go and spend a few weeks or a few months in different places. So for example, my family lives in Taiwan, and if I were working a traditional job, I would never be able to spend more than a week or 2 a year with my family, dealing with jet lag and all that stuff as well. But when I started freelancing, I was able to pack up all my stuff and go to Taiwan and spend like 2-3 months there at a time. And that's just like priceless. Like, it's cheesy, but it's priceless, right? Like, I could never imagine that otherwise. I would never have that much time in a chunk to spend with the people that I love. So traveling in that sense, like, yeah, traveling is really glamorous and everybody talks about like, oh, I get to travel to like Bali and all that stuff, which we also did. But just the fact that I could spend 2-3 months with my family, bake cookies, and still get all my work done, it was really, yeah, it's just amazing. So traveling, definitely a lot of travel. My partner and I have been to, yeah, lots of places, lots of really fun places like Korea, and we spent time in Bali with our friends. We went to Bangkok, we went to Spain. I don't know how to make that interesting. Like, yeah, we got to travel and it was really fun, and I could have never done that in a traditional job. And the important thing, the one caveat I want to say there is traveling when you're working full time, and I'm thinking about making a full video on this, is it's not really like traveling like you're on vacation, and you shouldn't treat it or have that expectation that you're traveling on vacation, because you're really not. You are there to work still your regular hours and make sure that your clients are happy and get everything done. And on the side of that, you can like go and explore and travel basically. So that's something to keep in mind, is you will have to manage your time very wisely to be sure that you don't let clients down. Another really good thing about freelancing that I didn't really think about when I first got started is the income potential. Like, the scaling of the income potential is really actually quite bananas. Like, when I first started freelancing, I was like, if I just make minimum wage as a freelancer working from my couch, I would be golden. So I started at $10 an hour. And once I was able to land clients and I started booking up, I was like, this is amazing, I get to work from home. And quickly I ran out of time, so I had to start scaling my income to reach higher income goals. So I would scale like a couple dollars an hour. Like in the first year, I think I scaled quite fast just because I knew the services I was charging, like the services I was doing, I was undercharging for compared to the market. And so I could scale quite quickly to match the market and be competitive with the market just because I was learning so quickly too. So the income potential is crazy. Like I went from $10 an hour, I started at the end of 2016. And yeah, in 2020, I brought in 6 figures as a freelancer. So I don't know anywhere else I could have done that, honestly. In corporate, I think the average raises are like 3 to 5% per year. And yeah, like it would have taken me way longer. It would have taken me way longer. Like I can't do the math right now in my head, but it would have taken much longer to scale to where I am. And I think that is partially, one, because of how quickly you learn and how fast you gain knowledge, just because you work with so many different freelance clients and you can kind of absorb knowledge from everywhere. But another thing is you have more options, like you have your eggs in more baskets. And so it's easier to scale your income with new clients and then raise your rates with old clients without feeling like all your eggs are in one basket. Like you have a lot of negotiating power, because if you just have one job, like just one 9-to-5 job, it can be very scary to negotiate because you're like, what if they let me go? Like, what if I'm asking for too much and all this stuff? But with freelancing, you can kind of try out new rates with like one client at a time. And if worst case they say no, which I mean, my clients have never said because I've always like put up a really good argument, then you can kind of go from there. So it's kind of like you can test more things at a lower risk level because you have so many more clients. And from my perspective, more stability because you have your eggs in multiple baskets. So yeah, I think those are some of the reasons why I was able to scale so quickly. Another reason is probably because I was working with a lot of small business owners and entrepreneurs. And when you work with small business owners, especially like digital is just like expanding so quickly, the teams and the businesses, especially if you pick good clients, tend to grow very fast. And when they grow really fast, they promote oftentimes from within. So I went from a content assistant to a content manager to a project manager to a digital business manager, which is what I've been doing for the past few years, really quickly, because clients were like, okay, do you think you can figure this out? Like, do you know the process? You know the content process. Are you comfortable taking on a managerial position? And I was like, you know what? I'm gonna give it my full go. And clients trusted me to do that most of the time, also because they have small businesses. So it's kind of like you would prefer somebody who's familiar with your business and your processes. And then you can always like train them in managerial stuff. So that is another reason why I think I was able to scale so quickly, is because when you have those small teams and everything grows very fast, like you grow super fast and you're kind of tasked to grow even faster. I mean, like also making good money. I know like money is such a taboo subject, but making good money is not just great because you're making more money. It's because that money can do a lot for your lifestyle, right? Like you can travel more, you can spend money on the people that you love, you can have more hobbies, you can buy back your time, because if you are making more money per hour, you can work fewer hours, you can like drop other clients, you can really have more time for yourself. So that all kind of flowed into even more freedom for my lifestyle, basically. And the final good thing, there are lots of good things, but this final big good thing is that you learn so much, so fast. You are forced to learn so much, so fast, I should say. I worked with over 30 plus freelance clients, and the privilege that it really is a privilege to be behind the scenes of 30 plus businesses in different industries, different kind of team setups, different type of products, all that good stuff. It really gives you such a holistic understanding of how businesses run, and you can carry a lot of that knowledge. First of all, it's an investment in you, which you are your biggest asset when you are a freelancer. So the more you can invest in your growth and learning as a freelancer, the better. And there's no better way to learn than to actually see how things work. Basically, peeking behind the curtains. You learn an unbelievable amount. And I would have never learned that much had I not been a freelancer and worked with 30 plus clients. As I was a real sponge. Like I was absorbing everything I could, and yeah, turning that into value that I could then give to my clients. And I think that is just something that, yeah, you can't pay for that kind of knowledge. And definitely learning so much and seeing how businesses run holistically fed extremely well into my final freelance position as a digital business manager, because I then knew how businesses worked, and it's much easier to manage processes when you have been within the process yourself, if that makes sense. It's much easier to talk to the team and figure out problems and help them with bottlenecks, help them get unstuck and all that stuff when you actually get what they're talking about. Yeah, so that's basically all the good stuff. I've basically given you all the good news. Now let's go on to the not so good. Essentially, like these are like cautionary tales. I don't think these things should keep you from becoming a freelancer if that's what you would like to do, but they are things to keep in mind. Hard lessons that I had to learn essentially on the job, and yeah, I don't want you to have to go through those mistakes. All right, so the bad. The first bad thing I would say is I think sometimes we think the barrier to entry, it can feel very high to freelancing. It's very overwhelming when you think about it all at once because it feels like a really big change, especially when you're kind of like deviating from the norm of like what we've prepared for, which is like go to college, get good grades, and you can get a really good job and you can just like climb the corporate ladder and all that stuff. And freelancing is not really something that they prepare us for in school, so it can feel like I have to figure all this stuff out by myself, you know, like I have to figure out like health insurance and taxes, and like, you know, society has really programmed us to think like a 9-to-5 is the safest route, you know, that like freelancing is this chaos. And like, don't get me wrong, sometimes it is absolute chaos, but it is not nearly as chaotic as most people make it out to be. Personally, I'm very risk averse, and I am your like typical type A, wanted to get good grades just so I could get to a good college and like put in the overtime so I could get promotions and corporate ladder and all that stuff. So, you know, this is just first of all to say like, if I can figure all of it out and not like, I did cry a lot in the beginning because I was a little bit confused about everything that I needed to figure out, but if I can do it, you can 100% do it. And if you can't and you have questions, ask them. I can help you figure it out. But I promise it's not as overwhelming as it might seem. Like, you have to figure out some basics, yes, but don't let those things stop you. Because like I mentioned, like there's so much good stuff on the other end of figuring out like some of these smaller things, like for example, health insurance or taxes, which like, it's not as complicated as you might be thinking. I just know those are like big words that they don't really prepare us for some reason in high school or college. They're just kind of like, yeah, one day you'll have to pay taxes. Good luck figuring that out. Or like health insurance, yeah, it's a little complicated. Good luck, like Google's your best friend, you know? It's just ridiculous, but I promise like it's not that complicated. Tons of people are doing it and you can do it too. Another bad thing, and I think this one's kind of a traditional one that people reference, is potentially a lack of income security. And there are a lot of ways to fix this. I think people think there's an lack of income security because freelancing is more like sometimes it's like one-off gigs and like one-off projects, one-off clients. In my experience, it kind of depends on the services that you offer. If the services you offer are more of like one-off projects, you will have to continuously be looking for clients. You have to continuously be putting a sales or marketing strategy in place, bringing people into your client funnel so that you have continuous work and there isn't like a lull in your project like workload. There are some services where I think there's more of a recurring need. So for example, as a digital business manager, I was able to sign a lot of monthly retainers with clients because they continuously needed help with managing their projects or teams. That's not really, like you can do it in a one-off sense where like I project plan one project for you, but for most of my clients, like most of the clients that I looked for, it was a thing where they needed me every week to host team calls, every week to check in with the team, every month help them project plan projects, every month do systems audits and like make sure the operations of the business are running smoothly. So for me, there was a lot of income security knowing that every month I had these retainer setups with these clients. Retainers are basically a client pays a set amount of money every single month to you to retain that time in your calendar. And it is essentially very similar to like kind of a 9-to-5 setup where you just get a monthly salary paycheck and you just do whatever it is set out in your contract, whether that is hours based where you have like 20 hours set aside every month for X amount of money, or deliverable based where every single month you deliver XYZ for that amount of money. So I would encourage you to have a think about that as you're diving into freelancing. Is like, how can I set up a more recurring system? How might I be able to ensure that there is continuity in my service? How can I be sure that clients come back to me, you know, on a monthly or quarterly basis, that they need me on that recurring basis? But yeah, if you don't have that kind of service, that's still okay. You just have to make sure that you are bringing people into your funnel continuously. You need to be sure that you are continuously marketing or networking or pitching yourself, something, whatever your marketing or outreach strategy is. You have to be sure that, you know, just because you're really busy one month, you don't forget about it, because it's possible you're really busy one month and then you don't do any marketing or sales or anything, and then the next month you have no clients, for example. So it's just something very important to remember. And another thing is that scarcity mindset will sometimes whisper things to you like, you know, there aren't enough businesses out there, like who's going to hire you, and all this like dumb stuff. This is a stat I looked up. In the US, over 99% of America's 28.7 million firms are small businesses. So most businesses out there have some sort of capacity for freelancers. Most of the time it's small business owners that work with freelancers because they don't have the budget to bring on a full-time person. So have a think about that. Millions of small businesses out there that could potentially use your freelancing services. So do not discount yourself. There are businesses out there, they need you. You just need to come up with a system for marketing yourself and selling them once it gets to that point. And my biggest tip here is do not ever stop applying or pitching, even if you are booked out. Even when I was booked out with monthly retainers as a digital business manager, which is I think the highest security I could have as a freelancer, is like having multiple clients that need me every single month, and I had retainers signed with them to pay me every single month to fulfill all my services. And in my opinion, that's even safer than a 9-to-5, because essentially I had these monthly contracts with multiple people, so like 3 to 5 clients at a time. So even if for whatever reason one of them dropped me unexpectedly, first of all, there's like a notice period in the contract, but second of all, even if they did, I would still have other clients and I could like take that extra time to find new people. But yeah, so my biggest advice is even if you're booked out, don't ever stop applying, because not only will it give you security in having people continuously coming through your funnel, another great thing is it gives you leverage. It gives you a lot of negotiating power when you have options. When you have options, you can be selective, you can be picky, you can drop clients that you don't like for new clients that could be more amazing. So that's something to keep in mind as well. All right, so that's kind of like the bad. I call them bad because I think there are things that trip people up, but there are definitely things that you can do to combat them. But now let's talk about the ugly. These are like some of the things that have happened that have made me think, oh, maybe I should just go back to like the safety and comfort of like a 9-to-5 job and like not have to deal with all this stupid stuff. That's like the nicest way I can say it. Yeah, it's kind of like the things that could potentially make you regret choosing to do something, essentially. There are some really horrible clients out there. There are some people that have no clue how to work with a freelancer, no clue how to treat people with respect, no clue, they've never heard of the term boundary, they don't know what it is, they don't know who she is. So by horrible clients, I mean, most of the time in my experience, it has been people who are either not kind people, so people, like I mentioned, who are disrespectful, who don't respect your boundaries, who make you feel really small, who treat you like garbage and make you feel anxious every time you see their name in your inbox. On the other hand, there are also some clients who are really great, nice, kind people. They have really great intentions, but they don't know how to run a business properly, or they're very chaotic or scattered. And while they're not horrible, it makes the experience very difficult to work with them, and that still might cause you anxiety, even if they're not a horrible person, if that makes sense. So those are kind of two buckets of people that you have to keep your eye on, and you have to kind of create your red flag filter. So every freelancer, even if you don't have it written down, you have that in your head. It's a filter where you have to run every client through to weed out the bad apples. You know, somebody who is always late for meetings, even before you sign them. Somebody who always changes their mind. Somebody who talks to you like you're an employee when you're not an employee. Somebody who continuously breaks your boundaries. Somebody who always goes out of scope. Somebody who always pays their invoices late. Those are some common red flags. But yeah, so that's really something to keep in mind, is like a horrible client can really ruin not just your day, but your week. And you'll know they're a horrible client because when you let them go, it's like the world's biggest weight off of your shoulders, honestly. So that's definitely some of the ugly. I have had some sleepless nights because of horrible clients that just, yeah, like encroached on every single aspect of my life and made me feel really bad about myself. So that's something to keep in mind as a freelancer. Obviously, there are solutions to this. Put in red flag filters. You can say no to people that want to work with you. Like, that's your option. Like, as a freelancer, you are in charge of your business now. You can pick who you want to work with. I would also definitely recommend having calls set up before you ever sign on clients, because you want to be sure that you kind of gauge the energy and gauge, are they a good person? Are the projects that they want me to do realistic? Do I have to manage a ton of expectations if I sign them on? That kind of stuff. Another ugly thing that can unravel very fast in regards to my previous point is boundaries. Boundaries can be a really, really ugly thing if you have never put boundaries in place, and they can really destroy freelancing for you if you don't keep them under control. So like I mentioned, as a freelancer, you're a business owner, right? Like, you are in charge of your business. You're in charge of the decisions. You're in charge of putting limitations in place for your business. So you have to do it. So by boundaries, I mean anything like, I work Monday to Fridays from 9 to 5. That is my communication window with clients. If clients write me on Saturday, they know I'm not gonna respond. So for example, when I first started freelancing, I worked every single day, including weekends. Can you see in my eyes that I'm like, I can't believe I did this? A lot of freelancers do this when we first get started, because as a freelancer, you're like, if I'm working, I'm making money, right? So if I just work every single day, I'll make tons of money. But you know, that's not sustainable. That is not taking care of your number one asset, which again is you. So you have to give yourself a break. You have to put those boundaries in place. When is work for you? When is not work? Especially if you work from home, because then like work kind of blends together. Like you can see my couch is right there. Like it blends together. So make sure you have those boundaries in place. Like when is your working times? When is not your working times? When do you respond to clients? When do you take calls? How many days in advance do you need notice if they want a project, if things change, you know, all of that stuff. Also like even your personal boundaries in terms of how you want to be treated or respected in your business, those are also boundaries. And if somebody treats you disrespectfully, speaks to you in a tone that does not suit the boundaries you're putting in place, then it just might be time to let them go. So keep in mind those boundaries, like mental energy boundaries, time boundaries, all that good stuff. I recommend having some sort of like a rate range when you're working as a freelancer, and you can be open to negotiating, because there's sometimes factors that you want to consider when you are negotiating your salary, like rates and everything. But you need to still have money boundaries. Like you don't want somebody to just be like, hey, can you do this project for free for me? Or hey, like we're friends, why don't you just discount it by like 50%? So having money boundaries of like, no, this is a business, this is how much money I need to make every single month, I can't do free projects. Those are also great boundaries to have in place. Boundaries are really just kind of like rules that you implement to take care of yourself. That's what boundaries are. So boundaries are very important to implement as a freelancer. If not, things turn ugly very, very quickly. And related to that, the third ugly thing that can definitely happen as a freelancer if you're not taking care of your boundaries is burnout. So something very important to keep in mind when you are freelancing is oftentimes your work-life balance might be tricky. So that's why I'm saying like boundaries is so important, because it's so easy to just like open your laptop at 10 p.m. on a Saturday and just work. It's so easy to work on a Sunday at 10 a.m. Like you can work all the time and it's so simple. So it can be very easy to get to a point of burnout like that very quickly, where you feel like it's never ending. So that's why boundaries are so important. That's why, you know, closing your laptop at the end of the day. I even implemented this thing now, like where I close my laptop at like 5 or 6 p.m. every single day. I don't open my laptop on the weekend. My laptop for me is immediately associated with work. My email notifications are on there. My Slack notifications are on there. Once I start seeing them, I go into work mode and like reacting to all these messages. Yeah, burnout is a big, big thing. Like you have to take care of yourself. And like you didn't get into freelancing to just work 25/8, right? Like, so take your time, like go find hobbies, go travel, spend time with people you love, like pet your animals, you know, do some things that make you feel good and refill up that mental energy again. And I promise it will be much more sustainable in terms of your business. If I want to be a freelancer for the next 5-10 years, what is a realistic schedule for me? So yeah, something to definitely keep in mind is this mess of boundaries and yeah, protecting yourself essentially. So yeah, those are the top goods, the top uglies, and top bads of working as a freelancer. So yeah, I hope that was useful, or yeah, gave you some things to keep in mind as you begin your freelancing career, or if you're already a freelancer, maybe some of these things you have encountered as well. If you're a freelancer, I would love to know what is one good and one bad that you have experienced on your journey below. If you are deciding to start as a freelancer, let me know in the comments below too. I would love to cheer you on. Like I said, this has been the most life-changing decision I could have made in my business, and I'm super excited to cheer you on if you are thinking about making that leap as well. And I will catch you in the next video. Bye!